On the, some of the things to start with, if you're going to buy wood spokes, like in Lang's, I got the Lang's catalog here, there are 3 different kinds of styles. You have to be careful. The tenon, the round part here that goes actually into the hub, it comes in 1/2 inch style or 5/8. You got to make sure you get the right size for that. So measure your tenon hole there. The Ford wheel is a little bit bigger in diameter, like a 64th, I think it was. So you got to make sure you order the spokes there for the Ford because they're a little bit longer. Then the Kelsey and Hayes are just a little bit smaller. So
it will not go in.
Yeah.
Because I learned the hard way.
Well, wait a second. Don't they tell you in there if it's a 23 you use this spoke, if it's a 24 you use this other spoke, or none of that?
You got to know what you have.
Take your spoke out and measure it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best thing because we're usually respoking, so you're taking a spoke out. So look at the old spoke that you take out and measure it. Okay.
Measure the little tin on there?
You measure the tendon and get with just a little caliper.
Yeah,
See if
that's
it's
the
half
tenon
inch
right
by
there.
5/8.
Measure that tenon there, how the diameter is across the
Yeah, you
tenon.
can measure that.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
A
And-
5/8 will not go in a 1/2 inch hole. I'll tell you, it tears really
And of course, these are only for steel fellow. The steel fellow, they're not for the wood fellow. The wood fellow goes, gotta have somebody do it for you. Also, like this is a demountable rim. There's different manufacturers on demountable rims. Like, Ben Umberger, I've been working a little bit on that last couple of weeks. He's putting us that together. And some have notches in there and some don't. So there's Kelsey, there's Hayes, there's Ford. There's different manufacturers. So you gotta know what you have pretty much. A spoke is about $12. So if you got 12 per wheel, you're $150 times 4 wheels is $600 for spokes. So you want to be pretty accurate when you're ordering them. So yeah, like Phil said, he has some experience with that, I guess. So I know another guy in Florida he got the wrong ones. He got it all pressed in there and put the hub in there. The hub kind of moved around so there's too much room in there. You can't have a loose. The hub's got to be snug in there when you do it too. So make sure you get the correct ones.
Make sure that when you're looking at your hubs, you can put in there, like on the rear wheel, make sure the key weight's good. You don't want to put a bad hub in here. Make sure the key weight's good and make sure that the taper's tight in here. And usually what I do to check a taper on a wheel, what I do is I'll take an action, I'll drop it on and it falls off. It's not good. Alright, so that's just a kind of an easy way, you know that. The table's not good, so you don't want to put a bad hub. This is pretty tight.
Yeah,
Make sure
front.
the threads are good where your hubcaps go too.
Yeah, that's why I should take a hubcap, even front hub, make sure you got good threads. You want to go through all that work and have a bad threads or something wrong with it. Make sure the races are good. Make sure you got races. Check it out really well.
Put a good hub in.
The spokes we have here, we got from a gentleman in Crossville, Tennessee. He had used them, and he gave them to us. We had to go out and buy them.
You put the 5/8 in to a 1/2 inch hole and messed them up. So I put these spokes in my leg that I found he had spokes with 4 wheels. Out of those, I got enough to make the respoke these wheels, but I put them in my leg to turn them down, and they were snug in there. All right, but this is for demonstration. Anyway, but you can destroy those spokes by trying to press them in, so don't do that. They're expensive. Make sure you got the right ones.
Yeah. When they come, we'll go over this more later. When they come, they aren't drilled for the bolts. We'll go over that a little bit later on how you line it up and drill it out because you want to make sure you drill it correctly. But that's why these have holes in it because they were installed at one time. Some people paint their spokes before they install them, but you shouldn't paint the faces if you're going to paint them. Don't paint them at all, or don't paint the faces. Because all that paint adds up to distance or thickness around. You got 24 faces on there. By the time you're done, it's 24 faces. So just minute them out. Times 24 ends up being a fair distance.
This is a Reagan spoke press. Okay. And I did copies. I got these online, so you can go and get these online. Just go to Reagan spoke press model T, and so these are. I have a few copies of these. somebody wants to make one of these presses, it tells you how to do it. All right.
So we'll have it on a table here at the end if anybody wants to pay. You got a page of it.
Take a picture with your phone.
Yeah. These are kind of faint, so it's a little bit hard to read, but again, they're online. You go online, go to the forums, you'll find it on there. So. Anything else, George? You want to try to get started here?
I can get started.
Okay. George found this little secret online, or he came up with the idea to help build. You kind of put the spokes in there, like a little teepee, they call it. It's hard, but he found out if you took like a little styrofoam, hold them in place and do the way around there. So, you want to start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A number of my spokes started. Hopefully, will be.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping to get there. I'm not sure you got a 5, a 3, a 2.
Here's 3.
Why did you number?
So to make this faster, we don't have a lot of time.
They're reusing those.
You know,
We can do this 3 or 4 times.
We got the hole in
Yeah,
there.
how about a 6?
It's two rails already.
If they brand new, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. Oops.
If you come in there right, you'll see these have already been drilled on the hole.
It'll take a few tries so they all fall down all the time. That's what happens. Huh?
All right. Force them back in here.
You guys need to get your wives to help. The
Get
family.
some more hands in here.
It's my wife's car. She can do it herself.
Not on Mother's Day.
Okay. Pins in there. So.
Like I say, force them here. Here's 7.
Let's get them underneath.
No.
So like I say, you kind of force these back in the hole, the pin should be tight.
Oh, we missed the one.
Kind of
Got one more yet? Got 5. Get an extra hole. Oh, this one's come out. Okay. But that was a valve spin hole.
Yeah.
On these spokes also, if you look, one side has a tape around it a little bit. So you want to make sure you put them in the right one, mix them up. Because this has a little bit of taper here on the, put that in there. So.
That should just slide right down.
Nice and loose now, but it gets snug if you go. When you do the spoke press, where this threaded rod goes through the bottom and into the top here, make sure it's really tight and maybe put lock nuts on there. Because if you don't, you're trying to turn, it gets hard here, you'll start turning on here and you're not gaining any ground. Yeah, that big one.
And plus, if you have a ratchet wrench, you don't have a gear wrench or whatever.
Or a real deep socket.
Yeah.
It had to be a deep socket with an impact wrench on it, okay? All right, so we're ready.
So, and as you go down, you want to take your time, make sure they kind of stay straight, because they do want to sometimes maybe twist slightly. You wanna make sure it all goes down nice and evenly.
And we got our holes lined up. There you go. This actually can turn as you go down.
Yeah.
Our holes, right?
So it does get tight, so you want kind of want to make sure the holes on the hub kind of line up with the joint. And that way you have less, you don't have to mess with it too much later.
Question.
Yeah.
Are the holes lined?
When you had it looking like that when I came in about an hour ago, I noticed that 3 of the holes did line up right between the joints, but the other 3 didn't.
Yeah. We just kind of threw it together for people to look at.
Well, normally it would line up pretty much all 6.
Yeah, well, right now they're probably the same thing because they're spread apart like this, so they're not lining up.
See, this hole is way down here.
Yeah.
See, as this goes down, these spokes are going to go in.
But earlier, we just kind of set up for people to look at and they came through. We weren't too worried about it. So.
And sometimes
But those holes wouldn't be there anyway when you're pressing it in.
No, the holes aren't there. Yeah, 'cause-
You drill them later.
yeah. So, and we'll get into that later. Do you want to drill them? You make sure you drill them straight.
Sure,
You got,
you want to drill them through where the joint is too. You don't want to
Yeah.
get over.
you got the plate on the backside, so you gotta make sure that hole goes in there perfectly if you can. You don't want to have a big wad of hole trying to get in. Okay, we'll try it here.
Let's
Get the cup out.
down the front row, do we need a hard hat on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes
I'm
it
standing
fly.
back in case one of those things comes out.
Where's your eye protection, buddies?
Oh, shit, please.
This one looks longer, George. Why is that?
It should be longer, because it's not down in the, it might not be in the hole, okay? You gotta have it up in here. It may not be like hole. Ooh.
Jeez. Good catch there, George. And this one is the same. This one here's the same one. There's one out of it.
Yeah, you wanna make sure that you're right.
Have you ever had one like pop? Sir, have you ever had one pop, like blow out?
Nah. You got it?
I don't care.
Hi.
Got it?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's in there.
Got it? Yes.
Yeah.
Good catch there, George. Falling for it. Also, I guess I forgot to mention, you would do want to get your rim, when you put some holes there, put the bolts in there, that way the rim stays centered. The rim doesn't slide maybe one way a quarter inch or another way a quarter.
And I don't think it has that in the regular plans that,
But,
that,
It's good to do it, that way everything's centered up when you do it.
but if you look at Steve Jelt's video on Don and Geezer, okay, on the website, or you can YouTube Monty Respoking Monty with wheels, you'll find that video. He does a great job of showing this, okay? And so you can review that. You see what you mean?
Yeah.
These are spokes that I haven't reconditioned, but they've been
So
pressed
there's
in on.
a little bit of a mixture too.
So I thought they did a good demonstration.
When that thing is caught on that center hub, you can't really rotate it. It's not relative to the wood.
What do you
Well, right now you can rotate it across to the wood.
This-
All right,
this here?
because it's really not,
Yeah.
if he loosens that up, you could actually lift it out right now.
Yeah. See, right now it's actually moved over. See, it's moved over probably a half inch from where it was
Yeah.
earlier.
But they love it.
I did a couple sets for my car back in Florida, and I think I realized I had to go just past a little bit of being flat, go past to the waist. When you put it all together, it brings it in.
You'll find one of the things that if you're supposed to ever get loose, that hub will actually turn inside there, and I've had them where you, we had a fellow, Dean and I traveling together, and we were bleeding his brakes up on a hill because he had this like that. So when they get loose, when they get dry, you know, you need to make sure that those bolts are good and snug under here. When you do snug them down, ping them with a hammer so they don't bite.
I'm just making sure they're nice and flat with each other. This one was up a little bit, and this was up maybe a 16th or so. You're good at flex. Yeah, now it got real easy, so we kind of got to the point there, so probably about flat, but I'm going to go past just a short distance, or a short distance. Yeah. Yeah, Phil's done a set of wheels for himself too a couple times.
Are you saying a 16th of an inch?
Oh, I don't know. I just go past just a little way, but just a tad. Are most of you guys in any local clubs at all? You guys in local clubs? Yeah. Well, if there's local clubs, there should be lots of guys. There should be some guys that can help with stuff too. You got a question? Our club in Florida, Ben Umberger here, he's our president of our Suncoast T Club in Florida. So if you're ever in Florida, give him a call. we do a little shameless plug for our club then. We do tours. We try to do an event the second Saturday every month. We're pretty good at that. So, and we do get good turnout. Sometimes 5 cars, sometimes 15, sometimes 20 cars. I mean, we do have a good turnout.
You're passing through for the winter and lot of stuff. Look at some Suncoast Tea Club.
Take it up.
What about the humidity in Florida? Does that affect the wood you put in the wood?
They stay nice and swelled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I parked my car in Tucson one time for a couple of weeks, and I come back, and I was driving on the road, and they were loose. I actually had that night at the hotel, I tightened all the bolts on the back. Then, like George said, if you tighten them up, you've taken the nut and bolts repeened over. So if you tighten them, you got to repeen it a little bit, so the nut doesn't slip off.
Right now, we'd be doing the holes.
Well, not yet. We still got to line up. See, when it went down, it slipped over, so we got to turn. Got the camera down.
What would be different about it with a wood fellow wheel?
The Woodfellow wheel has wood, and I think it'd be about my grade pay level anyway. I don't know. Can you buy a Woodfellow and the wood, and you got to shrink it to get inside there, so it's a lot more involved.
I've never seen anybody offer it. Say it like that.
So they kind of, I think they expand the rim, they put the fellow and spokes all there as one piece, and it shrinks to it. Then you got rivets every so often to rivet the wood fellow to the rim. So it's just more work and more involved.
Non-demountable.
Yeah, this is a non-demountable rim here for the still fellow.
Demountable.
Yeah, demountable. Yeah, this is demountable. Some of the 30x3s and 30x3.5s.
Weren't they still doing the old car?
I guess with the hammer over space.
Was all fellow insured.
Yeah, very good.
It was basically if you wanted to shave every penny, you got everything. It's like you got it.
Yeah.
Make sure you get it.
I'm gonna start maybe
Yeah, I wouldn't tear too far. So all George doing now is just lining up the hole in the.
These are
The hub.
already drilled, if you have to, you want the hole to be right at the center of the structure drilled. And so,
Your whole.
But if that was racing it up,
Together.
No, it's not real, but
yeah, it's cool.
not when I tried it. It has that, So Okay, so once it's lined up there, looks good.
And you put the,
So then you have, yeah, that will go on the back side, but in the, so this is where you're gonna make sure you're lined up really well on the joint. Line it up good on the joints, and you got, make sure you drill a really straight hole through there. And that way you'll have, like, it should be half and half on the spoke through there. And once it's drilled, these holes aren't, since they're all different spokes, they weren't really drilled.
yeah,
Maybe we'll get one in there, maybe.
like you say, these salvage.
But now, when you put the backing plate on,
That vacuum plate, you put the drill it and put the vacuum plate.
do you use the race and the bearing, or just the race? When you put all that stuff on top of it, you push it in there?
No, we don't use the bearing now. We use this, which is,
What
what plumbing part is this, Phil?
That's a reducer coupling.
User call.
Yeah, the race is here. We were pushing across inside. We put this washer inside here. We're pushing against that
I
washer.
got you.
There's different ways. When I did mine, I think Phil will show a picture of his. I just had a big, like 3-inch square plate and pushed down. So let's push the pressure here, push down right there. So this, George just had a different way of doing it.
So that's.
Your household,
Well,
your,
that's hard to do, is it? You gotta make one of these presses and just get some hardware, you know, and, what you see?
What's that out of 4x4s?
This is 4x4 right here.
Right there.
three-quarter plywood and 4x4s. Again, there's some paper here that you want to take on with you. The bolts have a little square neck on them. And of course that goes in the hole there so you don't turn when you tighten them down. And that's, of course, that's the face. Just the front of it there then.
Does anybody want to come up here and try to raise up a whip?
We got couple volunteers.
Huh?
Go for it.
Volunteers come up here and redo them. We got another one, we got the Respoking.
So what's your thoughts on balance?
I'm balancing the wheel.
Trying to balance where?
The way that I balance wheels are those adhesive stick-on weights. Stick on there. And you use, balancing beads that you want to put inside. I've never used those. But what I've always used is just those peel-off stick-on weights that have the stick-on. Only not static balance. I just jump the tire and loosen the bearing and find the heavy side and put this on. And usually I'll take the weights on the other side until they get where it's static balance, and then I stick them on. That's the way I balance them. But they're all kinds of ways to do it. But the peel off weights may have some over here.
Not reusable, guys.
You can balance them, sometimes you can put the weight on this side between the spokes, right, yeah, on the surface there, and you don't see them.
But I like to balance them with the tire.
Yeah.
So
Anybody like to try?
You see where it is,
Any volunteers?
take it on and off.
Go on.
It's a lot of trouble.
No volunteers today, George.
the volunteers, you would bought a whole rent for nothing. Weird that.